scrambled seam. Whereas in the old days, you could see a seam rotating and say, right, I know which way that's turning. Nowadays, they've sort of rather sorted that problem out and said, right, we're going to confuse these.
Of course, that makes it easier to pick. If you can see the seam spinning in one direction, it makes it a lot easier to pick. And generally, most spinners who bowl the doosra nowadays, they scramble them all the time because then you can't pick it because the ball's spinning this way, but the actual seam is actually probably going in all different directions. It makes it very, very tough. You know, you've got to be watching the ball really, really closely to see some form of rotation, or you've got to be picking it from the hand.
Yeah. Right, Bob, let's have a look at the way Syed Ajmal delivers these three basic deliveries of his. First of all, the off-spinner. Over to you, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, the off-spinner is fairly orthodox. The delivery that I have a problem with is the doosra. The ICC have accommodated this delivery. They've changed the rules, basically, to allow these bowlers to bend their elbow 15 degrees, and that's what makes it so difficult for the batsman. Let's be honest, the only bowler that's threatening England now is Syed Ajmal. That's the teaser with the round arm that Nasser Hussain was talking about. He doesn't see that as a great threat. But the doosra is the bowler... is the delivery which the batsmen are all struggling with. And, you know, the authorities are now allowing these mystery spinners, unorthodox off-spinners, to bend their elbow to a degree. And if they're going to be allowed to do that, then England have got to address this and say, should we be teaching our young spinners to bowl like that as well?
Well, to use what's there, to use what's allowed by an ICC which has monitoring systems, has people with, has umpires who are allowed to refer things. It's a question of what's within the guidelines. Well,
that's right. It's going to be a controversial issue. I mean, Michael Atherton wouldn't agree with me. He thinks that these people bowling with bent elbows is a good thing for the game and adds mystery and interest. And Pakistan's bowlers, either with reverse swing or unorthodox off-spin, have had to produce something different to be able to get wickets in their own country.
Yeah. Now, the teaser is new. The fanfare, it was heralded, trumpeted before this game. It's new. As Nasser was saying, it hasn't done much. It appears to be just a bit of a quicker ball with a round arm action. But if you look at this, I wonder if one has to be a little wary. Look at this halfway through. 15 degrees is what's tolerable, what's allowed by ICC. I don't mind people trying to invent new deliveries, but if they're going to do it, if it involves another contortion which is going to push those boundaries again, then I think people have to be wary of that and look at it.
Exactly. Now, why do all these bowlers bowl with their sleeves buttoned round their wrist? You know, why aren't they wearing short-sleeve shirts? Why aren't they wearing vests like, Australian rules footballers so we can see their arm? The answer is clear, isn't it? They're bending their elbow.
Yeah. I mean, OK, point well made, and that will no doubt be discussed elsewhere in depth as well. But in the meantime, you do say one thing. Having said all that, one thing is that he's bowled beautifully.
Yeah, he's given England nothing today. You know, he's landed pretty much every time he's bowled the doosra, he's landed them very skillfully. So, and he's clearly the difference between the side at the moment. Made England where they are.
I mean, he's on a roll. I mean, 50 wickets last year, leading wicket taker last year, 2011, in something like just 8 Test matches.
The skill level is phenomenal. Let's make no bones about that. I mean, the control that he has. Whether we think the delivery is legitimate or not, the control he has is
pushing a boundary,
unbelievably skillful, and it is very difficult. And as Marcus quite rightly says, when you first go in, with the addition of this problem with a scramble seam as well, it makes life very difficult for you indeed. The initial view of the England batsman seems to play on the back foot, because if you've got men in front of the bat and you go out with that bat in front of your pad, you could give a catch there. But they're getting into all kinds of a tangle. But now we've seen through Pryor, Morgan and Swan as well, that if you survive for a little while, you can play him. OK,
they need to survive for a while longer yet. They need to add runs as best they can in this final session. That final session is what's coming next. But rest assured, Syed Ajmal will be doing his best to add to what is already a 5-wicket haul for him and to keep Pakistan well on top. in Dubai.
Humiliation. Oh, it's a wonderful goal. It's 8. No mercy whatsoever. And Percy! It's a stunning goal!
I was swimming in the Caribbean, animals hiding behind the rocks, yeah. Except the little fish, but they told me swears, trying to talk to me coy, coy. Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind?
Join the quiet revolution. The world's first full hybrid luxury compact car, the new Lexus CT200H.
Helpful banking means knowing your account balance before you go overdrawn. With text alerts from NatWest, you set a minimum balance on your account. We'll tell you when you reach it, wherever you are. Isn't it time you switched to a more helpful bank?
NatWest current accounts. Helpful banking.
England's first day of Test cricket in 2012 not going exactly their way. Pakistan in command of this first Test match out of 3. England 139 for 7, 55 overs bowled in 2 sessions so far. 1 session still to come. England pinning their hopes now on Matt Pryor and Graham Swan, who are 37 and 27 respectively, to try and get that score up, well, basically as far as they can. Every run will be very valuable to England at this stage. For Pakistan, the man who will make the headlines tomorrow morning in the papers, no doubt about that, it's Saeed Ajmal. 16 overs, 5 of them maidens. He's got 5 for 40 at the moment. He was something like 3 for 1 when he first started before lunch. And he has been England's main tormentor in Dubai today. Well, I suppose we can just say quickly, Bob and Marcus, that any run at this stage, or any runs, will be helpful, to say the least. Yeah,
they're going to need to get up to a decent total. We're looking probably a minimum of sort of 250 would be the ideal position from here. But it's going to be tough. Ajmal's bowling well. It's going to be a real tough position now for this partnership is the key one. I mean, safe to say, very easy to say, they're well below par at the moment, England.
They sure are, and they'll be thinking they just need 1 wicket because they will fancy getting Anderson and Tremlett out with Ajmal's variations. So there's huge responsibility on Pryor and Swan's shoulders, but they've done brilliantly so far. Been very patient. I mean, you don't often see that sort of strike rate from Matt Pryor in any situation.
Yeah, it's that blend, isn't it, of... I mean, Swan is always one who's keen to play a few shots anyway. It's his best bet. It's his best way of bringing out the best in himself. But it's that balance, isn't it, between aggression.
I think Stuart Broad can learn something from Graham Swan about playing with a straight bat. Most of the wickets we've seen today, apart from Peterson's and the magic delivery to Bell, have been cross-batted shots. Morgan and Broad going for the sweep, and Cook and Strauss, if you like, going for the cut. I think you're much better off trying to play this type of bowling with a straight bat.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, I'm sure, which... Actually, 2 things. One, it will have been talked about, I'm sure, in preparation. And then, of course, as we know, these things happen. People do these things. And now, of course, they've had a couple of sessions, Cook and Strauss in particular, look at it and think about what they did. I mean, that's the trouble, of course, with being a batsman. If you get it wrong early, you have a long time to think about your mistakes.
I'm sure they'd have been trying to make a conscious effort not to try and let Ajmal into the game so quick. Now, obviously Cook was out to Hafiz straight away, fair enough. But Strauss was probably the one. He'd probably be the one sort of very disappointed the fact that they let him open the door.